Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Dwayne here at 8-Bit Vinyl. Today I wanted to talk about the Street Fighter Capcom Legacy cabinet, or if you happen to have a Midway Legacy Mortal Kombat cabinet, I want to talk about possible solutions on your gameplay as to protecting the side artwork from your hand possibly damaging as you're using your joystick. So I made a deck protector for this. I'm going to show you how to make that today. And different steps I took to make this. It's a complicated project, but satisfactory at the end. And I'll show you how I made this deck protector for this machine. And if you like my channel, please hit the like, subscribe, and I'm open to any comments that you may suggest. And without further ado, we'll get started. Okay, guys, here we are back at the cabinet. In order to measure our plexiglass, I want to go outside edge to outside edge. So I'm measuring this, and I'm getting 18 and just shy of 18 3/4. So we'll do just a hair under 18 3/4, and then we will go this way and measure. And we get 9 and, let's say 9 and 11/16 will do us. Hey guys, so we're back here at the garage, and I wanted to kind of go over the materials we're going to be using to make this deck protector. There are several different plexiglasses or Lexan fiberglass sheets that you can buy at any home store. I've done a bunch of these and a few different materials, so I've kind of done it all. My favorite material, love-hate relationship, is this. What's this here? It's called Lexan. It's 0.093 thousandths of an inch, or 93 thousandths of an inch is how you actually say it. It comes in a variety of sizes. It comes in 12 inch by 24, and this particular sheet in my hand is 18 inch by 24. So you could use either or. They're about 20 bucks a piece if you get the ones that are this size, a little bit cheaper if you get the smaller ones. So that's what we're going to be cutting with today. It's a couple different ways you can cut this. You could literally take a straight edge, just an example. Make your measurement on your Lexan, put a board near it, and scrape it a bunch of times with a tool like this. It's got a little tiny blade on it that's just sharp. You can get this at the home store next to the same replacement glass section of your home improvement store of your choice. And you can do that. And you just basically hold it firm, make sure the plexiglass is where you want it, your measurements are legit, put a board against it, and keep going using that board as your guide, and make about good 20, 30, 40 passes to really get a good score mark and then break it. Or option B is this little tool here, which has a little tiny round cutter on it, which uses the same way, is to score the Lexan or the plexiglass. And this is also used in real glass cutting, just so you know. These little tongs here, forks on here, are made so you could literally, instead of using your hand, push against the glass and break it off. However, this Lexan, back to the love-hate relationship of it, is tough because it's almost bulletproof. I mean, the stuff doesn't scratch, very easy. It's really hard to cut with any of those hand tools, and you have such an easy chance of slipping off your mark and scraping across your brand new plexiglass top, and you're done right then and there. So I'm going to use my table saw. I don't recommend this. I've done this before. It's not the safest thing to do, but as long as your table saw or the saw you're cutting with it, as long as these teeth on these blades, I'd say safely, are at least 48 teeth, if not 60 teeth or greater amount of teeth per blade. You have there's so many teeth that it won't shatter the fiberglass, and it won't chip and throw it at you and shave it all over the place, and it definitely will not explode on you. This stuff is not going to do that. I guarantee that. So I'm going to cut it with my table saw. I have my fence already adjusted to the length of the legacy cabinets, which is the new countertop will be overlapping those T-molding sides, and it'll be at 18 and 11/16. So I'm going to grip that first. I'm doing 2 of these at the same time because I am getting my Mortal Kombat legacy cab, and I will have to do this again. So since my setup's already ready, I'm just going to do 2 at the same time. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, there you have it. So let's get started. Okay, so definitely I recommend some kind of safety eye protection when you're working with this glass for sure. That's the last thing you want to get in your eye. So it doesn't shatter that much, but hey, why risk it? Beautiful job on this. Doesn't shatter, doesn't fray it at all. It's easy to sand it, and it does a nice clean cut for you. But again, not recommended to do it that way. It's just the way that I do it. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the depth or the width of my control panel deck protector at the agreed upon 9 and 11/16. I'm just double checking my measurement that that's absolutely correct. I have it written on a piece of paper over here, so that's what I'm going to do. And here we go. Okay, guys, so the next step that I usually do to this is I clamp my Lexan down to what I have is underneath. I'm not sure if you can see through the holes, but it's literally a a control panel template that I just had to have lying around. But if you don't have this, you can always take the one off of your original arcade 1-up and just be really careful with it. Maybe put some tape on it, maybe put some newspaper between the Lexan, between this Lexan and the deck protector, just so you don't scratch any of the artwork. So this is what I did. Basically, I just clamped my board down to any old table. It just happens to be my table saw for room. And then I clamped my Lexan down to the board. And what I do here is I make sure that this right here, there's two of these together because I'm doing two at once. But for the sake of this video, make sure that this line on your deck protector is exactly flush. And this line over here is exactly flush. And what I'm trying to do is basically mimic this nice round angle so we don't get this pointy angle on the edge of our control panel and scratch ourselves or anything. And I'm basically trying to mimic exactly what the factory would have sent you if these were able to purchase. So with that being said, I have a 1/4-inch bit on my router. This is a 1/4-inch chuck router. The bit width itself is actually 3/8. So just so you can kind of see what I did, and I'm sorry about the camera shakiness, this is the only way I can really show you how to do it in a video. But my bearing on my router bit comes up against my shoulder of my deck protector, and then it's basically going to go around, and I'm going to chase this round edge right around the corner, and it's going to shave that nice round corner on that Lexan. Okay, guys, so the next part of this project, hands down, is going to be the very hardest of this project. It requires a lot of patience. You're going to spend a lot of time doing a very little amount of work, a lot of setup time, but patience is virtue. So just keep that in mind. So the next step, and this, you can do these. You can drill the holes first. You can cut the sizes first. There's really no specific order you have to do this project. This is just the order I do it in. So the next step I'm going to do after I've rounded off my corners is I'm going to create these oblong holes for the volume and the power control. So what I did is, this is literally, it may be hard for you to see it, take a really close look at my video, but I literally have the Legacy control deck protector, the original one, right on top of my new Lexan, and I have it clamped down with 2 clamps here and here. And sorry about the wiggly camera. And then what I did is I basically centered it with my length. So I centered the original control panel over the top of this. So I have a little over a 1/2 inch on both sides of this. So I know these holes are center with where I want them to be with my new deck. And then I'm just taking like a little dentist pick or a scribe or something of this kind of nature that can literally, now that this is all clamped, everything's evened up, everything's exactly where I want it to be, I literally just kind of scribe the hole gently and trace my oblong holes with my scribe. You can't do this with a pencil because you'll never see it with the protective wax paper that's on your new Lexan. So that won't work. So you need something that's really going to scrape and hold there, because you're going to have to use this little scrape mark that you did to guide your router exactly where that hole needs to be. So now that I've got this all scraped out, the drill that's required for this, obviously all this stuff comes from China and everything's metric. It's going to be very hard for your home store to find the proper bits. So for the purposes of this sake, and just from experience that I know that this also already works, if you're trying to trace these holes and make your new control deck go over the top of the power buttons, just like factory does, where it just kind of goes over the top and you have a little leeway, 7/8 drill is going to be your bit. If it's not, and you actually want to put all your buttons right on top of the deck, that's a different story. I believe that bit's going to be 9/16. But for this purposes, we're using a 7/8 spade bit that you can get in any kit or home store. And that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be lining and centering up my holes. I'll only be able to drill 1 hole per thing. I won't be able to drill it all out with this because it'll shift, it'll move, it'll throw it, it'll chip it, and the whole thing's ruined. That's another reason why I'm going so crazy on the explaining this step is because if you screw up this step, you didn't put that much time and effort into into the protector yet to start from scratch. If you drill all the holes, you cut all the panel, you do all the half rounds, you cut the shape, everything's ready to go, and then you do these holes and you screw it up, you feel like you really lost some significant time, and you'll just become that much more frustrated. So my thing is to do these holes first, because once you get these holes, the rest is going to be gravy. Okay, so just so you can kind of see what I was doing to line up this hole before I even think about drilling or cutting or routering it, is I just took my 7/8 drill bit. You can do the math and basically divide the 7/8 in half to 7/16, and then try to take this measurement here, the overall length of this oval, divide that in half, and then divide that half into half in order to get where this is. Who needs it? That's too much math. That's too much thought. So what I basically did was, it's not hugely rocket science, and because these are a little bit bigger anyway, I just basically put the bit up like this, oblong with the hole. I just made the tiniest of little marks here, flipped it over this way, matched my edges to my hole like this, matched my mark this way, and then I just took a straight edge, lined up my two marks, made my mark across this way, and did the exact same thing this way. So I put my edge of this blade to the edge of this hole, kind of just lined it up like that, made a little mark where the tip of this drill bit will be here, flip it over this way, put this edge against the edge of the hole, sketch this out right against the tip, make a mark, put my straight edge, and now I got a nice cross and I know exactly where that needs to be. And then to finish it off, all we're going to do is take the tiniest of little drill bits, maybe a 3/32 or some type of, it doesn't have to be 3/32. We're just going to make a little pilot hole, through hole through that. So when we actually put this on my drill press, or you put this bit in, it's not wandering all over. It will catch that hole nice, and you will get a nice clean hole of 7/8 round here. And just a rule of thumb when I drill, I always kind of line the drill up first with my pilot hole and make sure I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm sandwiching this MDF board on top, and there's one on the bottom, so when I do cut through this Lexan, it actually won't throw the Lexan all over the place, and it will also not ride up the drill bit. Just a little tidbit for a nice cleaner hole that won't drift as you drill. Okay, so the next part of this video, if you don't get overwhelmed and you're still with me and you're still interested in this, I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm going to show you a different couple of examples of how I set up my blocks and squares, but it's going to look like a Frankenstein nightmare. But this is the only way that I know how to do it and not screw it up. So I have my plexiglass still here, still clamped, and I have my through hole right here through this, and I have a whole crap ton of clamps and things that are set up for my hole, which is right here. I'm going to give you a better camera angle. For all intents and purposes, what this is basically a nice straight edge, just a piece of board with a nice flat straight edge. So when my router comes up against this shoulder, it's nice and straight, and there's no way it's going to drift, it's going to twist, it's going to kick back, and the hole goes everywhere, and your work's a mess, and you've ruined it. And this here is the same principle. This other piece is so when I come this way to get my slots, I can't come too far. It's literally going to come up against it, and I know that's exactly where it needs to be, and that's as long as it needs to be. And I'll show you a better zoom shot here. All right, so here's the close-up of the hole right here. And you can see here's my block stop here and my guide here. And my slot's going to go this way. So this is just a 7/8 bit in case it's a Diablo, in case you absolutely have this. This is just a Bosch 1/4-inch handheld router. You don't have to use this router. You don't even have to use these bits, but do use a flat bit that has no ball bearing on the bottom of it. Not sure if you can get a better angle of it. Maybe kind of see it better like that. Not sure. But basically it fits right down inside my hole because my hole is bigger than this bit, which is a plus. And to set my depth, I basically put this on, I put it right up on top of the plexi, and I can see my tracing, that sketch that I was talking about that was so important, that tracing. That's kind of how I line everything up, and I know where these blocks need to be, is I kind of just put this here, and I say, oh yeah, my edge is right up against that line. I turn my cutter, and it's right up against this edge here. All right, looks good. So then I kind of go down until I'm hitting my wood on the other side. I give myself a little bit of leeway, and then we can go ahead and cut this out. Here we go. It's not cutting anything right now. It's going down into my wood just a little bit. I'm going to come across like this, very gently, very gingerly. Let the cutter cut. Came right against my block, and that's it. That's all I got. Shut my router off right inside the hole, and there's no drifting. And now it's starting to slot the hole. So you kind of get the gist. Now I have to move my blocks to the other side so I get this top piece, and then that's how my slot's created. Move my blocks over to the other side, same process. All right, guys, so we got our slotted holes in there. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Perfect. Hey, guys, so in this next step, what I'm going to show you is tracing out the 1/4-inch holes on the sides of the plexiglass that will actually help mount it to the game itself or the cabinet itself. I'm using this 1/4-inch drill bit. These holes officially are metric. It will be slightly larger than this 1/4-inch, but for our purposes, 1/4-inch drill bit will work perfectly fine. So what I did was I took the original. This one happens to be my original Legacy Capcom cab control panel deck protector. I laid it right over my new work, clamped it all together, evened it out so it was nice in the middle. Again, traced up nicely, kind of lined up nicely against my slotted holes here for my volume and my power control. And then I literally just took the bit and I just kind of put it on the hole like so. Maybe this is a better viewing angle. Right here. Put it on the hole like so, just kind of with my hand. Just so I could kind of get a little bit of a dot there so I knew exactly where that needed to be. I'm going to take, now that I have a little something to center my hole with, I'm just using any old small bit to pre-drill my plexiglass. I don't want to use the 1/4-inch bit because I don't want to hurt. I don't want to hurt the original plexiglass whatsoever, just in case I ever want to go back or reuse it or change it back to original. I don't know why I would ever do that, but for this purposes of the video, gives us a nice pilot hole. So when I do use the 1/4-inch, so when I remove this control deck panel, this my little template here, and I remove it, I'll know exactly where those holes needs to be, and then I can use my 1/4-inch to finish it off. I'm just drilling the holes out. Okay, so I removed my template, clamped it back down to my work, and now I can just chase my pilot hole with my 1/4-inch bit. Sorry about the shaky camera. Okay, so in this part of the video, guys, what I'm showing you is basically what the control, this protector is going to look like exactly when I'm standing up against the machine. So what I have here is this is obviously the volume control, and this is where you would stand if you would play on this side. So I want to do those two little cutouts that kind of come like this. So this will literally sit on top of that T-molding on the exterior of the cab, but will also go inside, and this edge will push up against the monitor. So what I'm doing here is I put a flat piece of board across here. I've already pre-measured this in the deck. So the monitor, to basically where it comes out against the sides of the deck, is at 3 5/8. So that's what I did. I put 3 5/8 here. I scribed a little mark where 3 5/8 is on my tape measure. And then I put this bar here to compensate from the tip. The tip of my router blade will go against my scribed mark, and the side wall of my router will chase this edge. So that way I know I'm not going too far out into the panel. It's my stop. That's what I'm creating, is stops here. And I wind up clamping another little block here. So I'm only cutting out that little piece, and I'm using this 3/4-inch router blade to do it. Just to cut that out, and it'll give me a nice round radius around the corner. That's the reason why I'm using the 3/4-inch versus like a 1/4-inch or something smaller, is I just want to give myself plenty of clearance. I only want to do this one time. So when this comes around, and the dip of the cabinet comes out this way, it clears it. And it's kind of hard to explain, but you'll see what I'm done. I'm going to clamp this board here, and then I'll show you what I'm doing when I'm cutting it. Okay, now that I got everything laid out, I'm going to go ahead and router my holes. So I got 3 5/8 this way. As far as the distance from here to here, the thicknesses of your Arcade 1-Up cabinet panels are about a heavy 7/16, between 7/16 1/2 inch. So I just made this 1/2 inch against my shoulder this way, and 3 5/8 against my this way. And of course I'm lining everything up with the tip of this, not the shoulder. This is just my stops. So here we go. Let's router it out and see how it goes. One. Now for this side, I'm going to go this way so it doesn't climb. So I took everything off, just a quick visual of exactly what it looks like. So you can see my volume control and see how that roundness is going to kind of go in there. Both sides, it's going to look real sharp. So the video that I posted a little earlier, just of me routing out this corner edge here on the control panel. Basically, what you're seeing is this is the control panel right here. This is the front and this is the back. and I cut these out. And this radius, I just did a real quick trial run. This radius is not going to clear, and it's actually going to kind of pop up and not be sitting nice and flat on the control panel. So the 3/4 inch radius, you get the idea. So the video is important of what I did. So I reset this back up with my cross blocks and my but instead of that, I'm just using a 1/4 inch router bit. And I'm basically gonna just chase my edge because this 1/2 inch, 7/16 1/2 inch in is correct, but this radius needs to be a little bit deeper and a little bit sharper in order to clear that. So the 1 5/8 is also a little bit incorrect. Okay, guys, so in this particular video, I want to show how I'm going to basically trace out the rest of the holes, because the hardest ones are the oblong. I got our cutouts here. I just have a bunch of 1/4 inch drill bits just sticking through the real protector of the legacy cab, through my new protector, and then down into this wood. So everything's real stiff. Everything's all one. And in order to trace it out, I didn't do anything that was fancy. These holes officially American are 1 7/16 inches. I'm not sure what they are. I'm sure they're metric. And when they usually make all these holes in this thing, it's just one big flat stamp. All the bits are shaped and it's stamped, and that's why we're able to pay like $20 for it. So what I basically did is I just measured the holes, split the difference. So let's say the controller holes are 1.25 inches. These are 1 7/16 inches, just to clarify. So let's go with a buttonhole. I basically measure this. I'm getting just shy of 1.5 inches, around 1 7/16 inches. I split the difference, and I'm just about 1 mark shy between 11/16 and 3/4. And basically, I just scribed a little line that way, turned it around, scribed a little line this way. I got my X, and then I use one of these. This is just a what's called a snap hole punch. You don't have to use this. You can just use any old regular metal or wood hole punch and find the center of your mark and hit it. This one's a lot easier because you can literally put it, an X marks the spot. Put it there, push down on it, and it snaps the hole and gives you your pilot hole, so your drill isn't going to drift when you go to actually drill the official holes. For the 2 controller holes, I'm going to use this 1.25 inch bit. This is called a spade bit. You can find this at any hardware store. For these, they don't make a hole saw at any store that you'll find that's in metric here in the States or in any home store. It goes from 1 3/8 inches to 1.5 inches. So for these purposes, and because these holes are already bigger than the buttons as it is, I didn't want to go 1 3/8 inches, because then if this is off in any way and I need to shift this panel around to align it up just so on the actual game, I won't have any play. So I'm going with the bigger size of 1.5 inches. And this is just a Milwaukee hole saw. This one particularly comes in a kit. Comes with 1/4 inch. This is your 1/4 inch spade bit. Screws on there like that. There's some little tiny pilot holes here, which just kind of line up here. You put this in your drill press. This 1/4 inch will find your pilot hole, and then you will plunge cut, and it will cut the rest of the holes. So this is how I laid it out. This is how I measured it. And then we're going to go over to the drill press and drill the remainder of the holes, and we're done, guys. Okay, for all intents and purposes, guys, what I usually do is I bring this over to the drill press, and I got my things all marked out, and I usually just use the 1 1/4 inch spade bit for my 2 controller bits first, just because I tend to get on a roll drilling some of these holes here and the control buttons, and the next thing you know, I'm drilling the on the buttons, and then the next thing you know, I'm going over to the control holes, and I'm just in a zone, and I'm drilling, and then I'm drilling the control slot too big. So I usually do the 2 control slots first. That's just my thing. I usually clamp my work down so to try to prevent my work from either drifting or this fiberglass from kind of rising up. Don't need much. Move this clamp. Take your time drilling. Not a race. Always have something underneath the plexiglass, not only because it won't scratch it, but it'll also make it so it's a nice clean hole and it won't chafe on the other side of the hole. Okay, guys, so you can see I got it off the drill press. You can see all my holes drilled in. Starts to looking, this was the half round that I was talking about. Starting to look like something you would have bought in the store. So anyways, last finishing touch is because I got a lot of burrs and a lot of chafe on this. And take your time with this, guys. You can't, worst case scenario, you screw any of this up, you've only lost a little piece of plexiglass and a little bit of your time. I mean, you didn't ruin your game or anything. just take your good protector out of the way after you've just kind of traced your holes and stuff, and take that away. And worst case scenario, you can put it back to stock and put it back together, and it's like you never did it. So anyways, this is a deburring tool. I don't know if you can see that. They cost literally, I don't know, $5, give or take, at any home store. It's got a bunch of bits in it. This little thing unscrews and gives you some extra bits. And it's just got a little cutter on there. And in case you guys are not familiar, all you do is kind of go around. You put your little the little V part of the blade on it. Just kind of go around and just make. You're only trying to get maybe a quarter turn of the circle. Don't try to go all the way around the circle. Maybe a third to a half. And I'm just kind of going around and I'm carving my burrs off, my plexiglass, Lexan, whatever you want to call it. And it just gets that nice sharpness out of it. So when you lay it down on when you take all the plastic protective coating off of this and lay it down on your cabinet, it won't scratch it. I kind of turn it again, a quarter of a turn. Just little half circles like that. It's perfect. And then I just kind of feel around my fingers, a little bit on the edges and stuff like that. You're not going to get cut. Got a little bit of crap right here. Because you definitely want to do all this work way before you think about taking that protective coating off. Because once you take that off, it's so easy to get dirty and it's so easy to scratch. Well, I shouldn't say easy to scratch, but it's easy to scratch when you're using power tools and things around it. It's not too friendly with that stuff. Okay, good. So we'll get this all cleaned up. We'll before we peel our protective coating off, I'll go to the cabinet. I'll just kind of slip it down on top of it and see how it fits. Make sure I don't have to cut anything, make any adjustments, or maybe whatever. And then the very last step is I'll take the protective coating off and put it in there permanent. So here we go, guys. Here's our test fit run. See how well we did after we got it all dusted up and cleaned up. Goes in there just like that. Man, pretty good. Our half rounds here are looking good. They're not cutting into our T-molding. It's laying right over our T-molding nice, so we can still see that T-molding on the cabinet. And more importantly, this isn't sharp, and I got a little bit more hand play for the joystick over here. So I feel like my hand is much better laying on this rail and playing like this. And I'm pretty far away just to get away from the camera angle, but I think this is more realistic as to where my hand is, and I'm still got my palm good and on the cabinet playing. So pretty happy with that. We'll pull the plexiglass off and we'll see how it looks as finished product. All right, so here it is without the protective coating. Looks great, totally transparent. Wow, look at that. Holes are just slightly bigger, but I could definitely live with that. They look good. Nothing sharp or anything like that. So, man, that looks really, really good. All right, guys, so here it is, all said and done on the game. Feels really good, really scratch resistant, a little more heavier duty than the ones they give you at Arcade 1-Up. I know this seemed like it was a lot of work. It is a big undertaking. It is a big project to do this kind of deck protector for something that they literally can stamp and you buy it for 20 or 30 bucks or it comes with the game. But it's just another solution that I had because I still wanted to see the yellow T-molding on the top here versus making a whole control deck that went over. But either, whatever floats your boat, it's your game, it's your world. But I prefer this way, and I'll be doing this to the Legacy cabinet as well. But I feel really good about the way that it looks. So anyways, thanks guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe to my channel. Again, Dwayne at 8-Bit Vinyl. And stay tuned for more videos to come and more mods. I got some more ideas for these kinds of cabinets. So thanks for checking in, guys. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, Dwayne here again, back at it. Oh, god damn it. Should have been a great video.